Welcome to the first edition of This Month in PLAs for 2012, a short program which keeps you up to date with the positive and valuable attributes associated with project labor agreements and how they are a first-rate project management tool that delivers untold value for construction owners, contractors, workers, and taxpayers. We start things off today with news of one of the biggest project labor agreements ever signed, as much as $700 million worth of construction work for the Los Angeles Metropolitan Transit Authority over the next 3 decades. Of the work to be done, the agreement specifically calls for 40% of the work hours be done by people who live in economically disadvantaged communities, and 10% are to be reserved for people suffering from homelessness, chronic unemployment, and other challenges. The building trades are wonderfully positioned to meet these goals. Their unions are providing pathways to career opportunities in the trades and ensuring that when projects go to bid, that there is an exemplary pool of highly trained, productive, and safe local workers ready to hit the job running from day one. The Building Trades Department applauds the City of Los Angeles and Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa for understanding that to create jobs and use taxpayer funding appropriately, signing a project labor agreement with community workforce provisions like these is not only fiscally responsible, but ethically grounded. I am proud that the MTA board voted unanimously to become the first transit agency in the nation to use federal and local dollars to create jobs targeted at economically disadvantaged communities and individuals, Mayor Villaraigosa said. This landmark program is part of a strategy to deliver public transit projects while creating jobs that will lift people out of poverty and into the middle class. U.S. Representative Karen Bass was also very excited about the agreement, and she had this to say about the career creation potential of the PLA. Today's vote to approve the project labor agreement and construction careers policy represents a huge step toward providing relief to many of the communities which are currently experiencing historic hardships, including unemployment, underemployment, and general economic distress. With more than $700 million in transit and highway construction projects planned in Los Angeles over the next 30 years, investing 40% of the jobs in disadvantaged communities is a tremendous step in the right direction. The unemployment rate in Los Angeles still hovers around 11%, higher than the current national average by 2 points. But in the Los Angeles construction market, it's more than 27%. The Building Trades Department cannot stress this enough. For public officials, both appointed and elected, ensuring local hire on construction projects like these is a great way to get local workers back to work and enable them to become working contributors to the stimulation of local economies. This is a truly great victory for all Los Angeles residents, those who will work on these jobs and those who will benefit from them in the long term. Here's another bit of good news in a sad story. A ballot to ban PLAs in Sacramento at the hands of the Associated Builders and Contractors failed last week as nearly half of their collected signatures were ruled invalid. That's the good news, according to the BCTD. The sad news, even as positive stories about PLAs continue to flood in from coast to coast, so too are the attacks on PLAs and the middle class. But for now, the Sacramento measure has failed. And finally today, offshore wind and the work associated with its construction continues to be debated in the waters off of Maryland's Atlantic coast. As you might remember, Governor Martin O'Malley wasn't successful in pushing a wind power bill through the General Assembly in 2011. And as details emerged of new legislation in late January, the building trades both offered their services and their support to the governor. But they also made it clear that they cannot and will not support the plan if Maryland residents are not guaranteed the work through a PLA. There's got to be something written in the bill to include organized labor for us to totally commit to the project, said President of the Baltimore Building and Construction Trades Council, Rod Easter. We cannot be standing on the curb watching people go to work who don't live in Maryland. Good news is, Mike Tidwell, director of the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, was quoted by saying that as far as a PLA, nobody is opposed to it. The question is how we do it. PLAs can be tailor-made to suit anyone's needs, large or small. They work. The building trades competitors continue to argue the fact that PLAs are discriminatory and that they increase the cost of construction. These claims couldn't be further from the truth, says the BCTD, and for proof, Just log onto the PLA's work website and check out the reams and reams of academic data and research that point to one simple fact: PLAs work. So, with that, we say so long and see you next month.